Hello everybody, welcome into the NOMA Truck Series presented by Manny Rays. We are getting ready to eliminate 8 drivers from the round of 16 here tonight in the NOMA Truck Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's get things down to trackside and let's get started with your starting grid tonight. The man that is going to take the pole in tonight's race is Matthew Dyer. That is a playoff driver on pole. Starting to his outside is another playoff driver, although for some reason it's not showing the P next to his name. We'll explain more of that in just a moment. That is Kenneth Riedinger. Third is William McKellar. Paul Witt, last week's winner, got himself locked into the round of 8, which we're going to have an off week after this, and then he will be ready to make the charge, see if he can make his way into the championship for after that. Starting 5th, it's going to be Justin Parham, another Grandstand Racing driver. In 6th, it's going to be Ray Zerkut. Matthew Fritz starts 7th, William George in 8th to his outside. Row 5 is going to be Robert Duvendak, followed by another Robert. That's Robert Jordan in the 10th position. 11th is a non-playoff driver. That's Joseph Fogg. Rounding at the top 12 is going to be Jay Stinson. DJ Mattis starts 13th, Vicente Guerrero 14th, John Lynch 15th, John Bell 16th, Treston Fortson 17th, Jeff Carl 18th, Robert E. Morrison 19th, Joey Hickox 20th, 21st is going to be Sam Boutwell, 22nd, Randy Bonomi, 23rd, Russ Kilgore, and 24th, rounding out the field, is indeed a playoff driver, and that is going to be Albert Hewins. Let's get right into your race info here next, heading, well, a lot of you might know where we're at. It is Atlanta Motor Speedway, but it's not New Atlanta. It is the old one. It's kind of known as one of those cheese grater tracks in terms of how hard it is on the tires for all these guys. Looking at the weather outside, going to be 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 9% humidity, clear skies, wind at 2 miles an hour. It is the Autism Speaks 225 here at Atlanta tonight. Won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for 150 laps, 70% fuel for everybody, 5 tire sets, and they are going to need all of them here tonight. 1 fast pair of fixed setups. Stage 1 on lap 30, stage 2 on lap 77, and we'll try to make it the rest of the way from there. Track temp, 120 degrees tonight at this 1.5 mile oval, so handling definitely going to be a concern as this race goes on. We're working their way out of turn 4. Matthew Dyer, we've seen how good he's been on the 2 mile ovals, Michigan and Auto Club. He was fast at both. We'll see, can he get his first win here in the playoffs tonight? Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Atlanta in the round of 16. Pretty good start here from everyone so far. One thing to point out here early, you'll notice on that scoring tower there, the drivers that have a P next to their name are the drivers that are currently in the playoffs, and there's 16 of them right now. After tonight's over, the top 8, they'll move on and continue their journey in fighting for a championship. Everyone else is out. Oh man, Kenneth Riedinger, big slide. Can he hold on to it? He does. That made Ray Zerkut really have to get out of the throttle to check up. Boy, let me tell you what, we know the skill level of Kenneth Riedinger. If you see this guy getting loose, you know it is a tough track. But that's what Old Atlanta's all about, and that's what makes it a lot of drivers' favorite track. Good hard racing, and these guys are carrying a lot of throttle time. In fact, we'll look at it here in just a moment, but looking a little far back. Still some battling through mid-pack towards the back of the field. Little 2x2 action here. That's Joey Hickox. Joey, not sure if he had a little issues, kind of hopped in here late. It looks like he's ready to go in that good-looking 31 snap-on paint scheme. He's got his teammate Randy Bonomi just behind him. You look a little further back, you'll see the 90. That's John Lynch. Haven't seen him out here in a while. Good to see him out here for Spino Racing. We'll see what he can do. A couple quick things to note, too. Matthew Dyer, I believe he's a Grandstand Racing driver. I believe I found that out last week. Still looking to update his stats. That'll probably come at the end of the season, but letting you know verbally about that. Kenneth Riedinger in second. That is going to be one of his teammates. And then the third one would be Justin Parham, who you're going to have to go pretty far back to find right now. Not a good start for the 19 truck. In fact, the mellow yellow paint scheme is all the way back, down 14 spots from where he started in 19th. That makes me think maybe he had a little bit of an issue here off the start. We saw Kenneth Riedinger's big slip up. Somehow he caught it. I wish I could tell you how, but he did. Either way, we're going to take a look at a couple things now as well. First thing being the lap time, because these are going to change drastically as the laps go on. You see right now he's probably at the peak lap times that they're going to run here, at least for now, and that is a 31.5, mid-31. You compare that to Kenneth Riedinger, who looks a little faster right now. A little bit lower 31.5 for Riedinger right now, but as these tires wear down, those lap times are going to fall off significantly. We'll take a look at the throttle traces, and in fact, let's ride on board with your current leader, Matthew Dyer. He's got the cleanest air. Let's see how that truck's looking. And you hear it, he's pretty wide open. Atlanta's a fast track, as now we got a battle for the lead. Kenneth Ridinger, he is living to the outside. We'll see if he can get it here down into turn one. You gotta think that outside's the preferred lane. Can run almost wide open around the top here out of Atlanta if you choose to do so. Again, though, it's all about that risk versus reward. You know you're wearing out tires. We got some contact to the back. Can everybody hold on to it? Everybody looks clean for now. Boy, it is a mess back here. Looks like a hornet's nest. We got guys 2 and 3 wide. They're going to get it all sorted out. The 28 of Russ Kilgore looks on. Justin Parma's right in the middle of this mess. And we're going to keep it right here for just a second. Last week's winner, that's Paul Witt. He's trying to hold off Sam Boutwell in the 47 to 66 of Randy Bonomi. And we'll take a quick second here. I want everybody to acknowledge that beautiful looking paint scheme on the 429 of Paul Witt. We just wrapped up Autism Awareness Month. That was indeed in April. And this race kind of capping that off. I know it's not in April, but that is what this race is all about. The Autism Speaks 225 and Paul Witt. Tell you what, I have seen some Autism Awareness trucks. This one definitely takes the trophy for me. Good looking paint scheme for Paul Witt. And we'll see if he can get it in victory lane tonight and go back to back after he has already clinched his way into the round of 8. 8 laps completed of 150. Definitely one of the longer ones tonight. Is looking at John Bell. He is one of those playoff drivers as well, but he's got a lot of damage here. When we saw that scrummage in the back, some guys got bigger contact than others, and it is looking like the 5 might have been one of the guys that got the worst of it. See the 37 there of Joseph Fogg. He's got a little bit as well, but Atlanta's not the track you want to have aero damage on. Downforce so important at 1.5 miles. And you can see John Bell, he's running the top, and he's probably running pretty wide open right now, but that truck just does not have that much speed with as much damage as it already has right now. We'll see what happens as Nancy Hickok's in the chat letting us know she's here rooting on the drivers and everything. Unfortunately, she says she will not be able to watch it live. She will be watching it back. Well, I'll tell you what, Nancy, we hate to hear that, but go do your thing, have fun. We know life gets in the way. When you get time, come back and watch it. The 96, well, he was ripping the top right there. Maybe got a little loose. That's William George, and this has been one of those guys we saw him last week. Although he's not in the playoffs, we always have those drivers that seem to stick it to everybody that's in the playoffs, and I would certainly count the 96 machine as one of those drivers. Kenneth Ridinger has taken over the lead from Matthew Dyer, and now Dyer is under some more pressure here from the 22 of Ray Zercut. Oh, William McKellar, you saw him get into the wall there off of turn 2. I love this camera angle because it shows that these guys get really tight off turn 2. It doesn't feel like you get tight, and you see how the safer barrier kind of washes back up into concrete, and you think you have that little bit of extra room, but you just don't. Sometimes that contact is all it takes. The 31 of Joey Hickok's currently sitting 16th. He's up 4 spots from where he started. The unfortunate side of it is see some damage to the right rear of that 31 truck, and he's almost in the same boat right now. John Bell really falling back here, struggling. See, John Bell has fallen back. He is now down 5 spots. DJ Madish has a clean truck, unfortunately still going in the wrong direction, down 7 from where he started in 20th position. And put this in perspective for you, we're only just over 1/15 of the way through this race. The stage breaks are certainly going to help everybody out. And I think we're going to see the race maybe tighten up a little bit through that second stage, although as much as I say that, it seems like Kenneth Ridinger just continues to pull away from the field each and every week. And every time we get a stage break, that guy just seems to get faster. But again, all about tire saving this week. Last week, the 24 struggled with that a little bit on that first stage. He learned from it the second stage. Had a super fast truck. Looked like he might have had a shot at the win. Little bit of contact late with Paul Witt. Sent that 24 around into the inside wall and ended his night. Gotten a couple more wrecks. So you know, momentum isn't necessarily on his side, but he's looking to change that here tonight. Here's a battle between a playoff driver and a non-playoff driver. That is Matthew Fritz for Hickok's Racing up in the top line. A lot of these guys with damage early. I'm pretty sure all of this was from that little scrum that we saw in the backstretch. We didn't really take a replay at it because it didn't look too bad. Everybody gathered themselves up, but must have been some heavy contact for a couple different guys. You see Vicente Guerrero running just behind in the 14 Miami Dolphins machine. John Lynch already up 8 spots. He currently sits in 7th. William McKellar 8th. And there's last week's winner, Paul Witt, sitting in the 9th position, down 5 from where he started. Treston Fortson, I believe we had him in here watching tonight. Shout out to him, up 7 from where he started, currently sitting in the top 10. Robert Duvendak, here's a playoff driver right now. He's got pretty heavy front end damage. That truck not going to be handling too well either. He's got Sam Boutwell behind him, Albert Hewins, Justin Parham 14th, Jay Stinson 15th, Russ Kilgore 16th, Joey Hickok 17th, Randy Bonomi 18th, Joseph Fogg 19th, DJ Madish I might have mistakenly earlier said that he was not a playoff driver. If I did, I apologize for that. I thought I said he had damage, but no, DJ Madish is a playoff driver. Last week didn't have the best week, but this guy's always been pretty consistent throughout the season, and honestly, he's struggling a little bit more here in the early going tonight than what we're used to seeing. We'll see if he can pick it up as this race goes on. Jeff Carl in 21st, Robert Morrison 22nd, John Bell 23rd, and Robert Jordan 24th. Everybody is still on the field, and right now it looks like we only have 4 playoff drivers inside the top 10. Those 4 being Riedinger, Dyer, Fritz, and Witt. The other 4 that are going to be making it to the next round as it stands right now would be Sam Boutwell, Justin Parham, Robert Duvendak, and Jay Stinson, who's going to currently be holding that last position. They go 3 wide right here around Robert Duvendak. This is out of turn 2. Oh, man, Jay Stinson's getting a little tight. Gets up into Albert Hewins. Man, as tires wear out, Atlanta gets tight and loose at the same time. Jay Stinson, I don't think he knew that they were necessarily 3 wide. He was waiting for that 55 machine of Albert Hewins to slide up the track. He just never did. Contact almost ensued, but they keep it together. Looking up front, your leader, Kenneth Riedinger. Boy, have we seen this before or what? He has already got almost a second gap on second place. Matthew Dyer, who has taken it back from Ray Zerkut. You got to wonder if Ray maybe used his stuff up, as he is now back 2 positions from where he was just at. William George is up to 3rd. Matthew Fritz rounding at that top 5 position. But a little battle here. Ray Zerkut might be in danger of losing that spot. Vicente Guerrero working the bottom, the 48 up top. And they are not going away. It looks like the 96 of William George maybe starting to slow down a little bit here. And after the off week next week, NOMA is going to go 3 tracks back to back, and it is going to be crazy. I believe, don't quote me on this, we have to check it. We know the championship race is at Chicagoland, and I'll let you know on the schedule later. But I believe it goes Texas, Las Vegas, Chicagoland. I believe that is the setup. Either way, we'll have sure. But I know there's at least 2 mile-and-a-halfs after that. And with Atlanta being a mile-and-a-half, although it races a little different than a lot of mile-and-a-halfs that we go to, this is going to be the place to get some momentum started. Auto Club was the last big track that we headed to. And we saw Matthew Dyer be fast there. He's shown a little speed here tonight. And if you're looking to get hot and put a challenge to Kenneth Riedinger, you're picking the right time to do it if you are Matthew Dyer. Speaking of hot, he's looking real fast on the track right now. That 2 truck is catching up to the back of the 24 of Kenneth Riedinger. As he gets closer, it's going to get a little bit harder. He's going to get that dirty air behind the 24 truck. Right now, it looks like Matthew Dyer maybe working the top line. Kenneth Riedinger on the bottom. Gets that big momentum down the straightaway, closes it up about half to a tenth each straightaway that he runs the top. Sure enough, you see the 2 up top. Kenneth Riedinger on the bottom. I would not be too surprised here if we see the 24 maybe start looking to go to the top line. Try to take that clean air away from the 2 and see if he can maybe hold him off. But let's take a ride on board Matthew Dyer. This is from the gearbox. Let's take the gyro cam. Oh man, you hear he is trying to be very, very patient with it. I could tell you from what that sounded like, that 2 truck is getting really, really tight. That's what happens when you run the top for too long. When he has clean air, it seems to be okay, but as he gets closer, I keep talking, it's going to get harder and harder. But if Kenneth Riedinger stays on the bottom, as long as the 2's tires can hold out for the next 9 laps here as we cross the line, he's going to have him here. He's got another big run there now in the same camera lens. Can Matthew Dyer maybe look to get himself a stage win here? And there you go, Kenneth Riedinger, he saw that. There's a reason he's one of the veterans out here. He took that line away, and now Matthew Dyer's got to be saying to himself, well, dang it, man. Ooh, he got really, really tight off there. Kenneth Riedinger's going to pull some down the straightaway here. And now that the 2 gets in that dirty air, you got to wonder, does he think about trying to get back to the low side? Or does he maybe look for a lane higher? Oh, yellow flag. Not out, but we had contact back here. Looked like with Matthew Fritz. Thought I had heard something. Oh, man, he is off tracks. He must have had some... But did he have contact, or was this just an issue? Take it back. Ooh, the 48. Oh, man, that looks like a mechanical failure of sort. You see those left tires are locked, and bam! Big shot into the inside wall. It's probably for the best that those wheels were stuck, whatever the circumstance was, to the left and not to the right, because that could have been much more disastrous. Let's take a ride on board here. We've seen this a couple times with different guys, at least throughout my short broadcasting career here so far. There it is, and you know, the dead giveaway for this is just how quick those hands flinch from straight to 90 degrees to the left. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. It does not matter how fast your reaction time is. You can't jerk the wheel that far left this quick. There it is. Boom. You hear he's off the throttle here. You gotta wonder, did maybe his wheel unplug? Did the power go? It's not sure, but man, that's a tough break for Matthew Fritz because he is one of the round of 16 drivers looking to make it to the round of 8. And he was looking pretty fast here early, but man, if he cannot get that thing back on track, as he's already shown 4 laps down, there's a chance this could bring his day to an end. In fact, looking at him here, he is back out on track now, but man, 4 laps down, that's going to be a brutal comeback. Ray Zerkut, on the other hand, he is also off track, not back on, and he might be going even more laps down here. Not sure what happened to 22. It looked fast early as well. Matthew Dyer, though, up front has closed back in on the back bumper of Kenneth Ringer. This time he's going to try the bottom side, seeing that 24 go up top. General rule of thumb at 1.5 miles where you get that top side working is you'll stay on the bottom until you feel like you saved enough tire, then you go back up top. But Matthew Dyer still on the inside down the straightaway. He's going to dive it down into turn 1, maybe looking for a slide job. Kenneth Rittinger's going to hold too much momentum on the top. And actually, the 2 doesn't go for the slide job. Wise move right there for Matthew Dyer. Stays a little more patient with the throttle, and if he can hang side by side, maybe he's got a chance. Can't quite do it. Looking back a little farther here, we do have a battle between Albert Hewins and Sam Boutwell in the 47. Jay Stinson in it as well. There's Russ Kilgore out the back. Coming to 4 laps to go in stage 1. Who is going to get some extra points leading into the second round? Kenneth Rittinger, you know, had good stage points last week, but tonight he's looking to get all of them. And I'll tell you what, you want to see how important tires are? Look no farther than the lap truck right there of Matthew Fritz. He just went absolutely flying by both trucks in less than a set of corners. And in fact, as these 2 continue to battle it out through turns 3 and 4, look at the lap times. Remember, we talked about earlier, remember the lap times are running 31.5s on new tires. 34 flats now. That is an insane drop off. Oh, Matthew Dyer is going to get really wiggly. Can he hold on to it? He does, but that is going to end any chance of getting the stage win. Man, he tried and tried to get Kenneth Rittinger, and I think he tried a little too hard. Let's go back and take a quick look at the 2 truck right here. And, man, this was kind of a, you see, he gets a little bit on the apron here, and right here he's already getting maybe just a little bit loose. No, actually, he just clips the grass. Clips the grass a little bit, and on tires this old, when you start to get just a slight bit sideways, that is going to be the result. So Matthew Dyer looking like he's going to have to try to hope to settle in second. I think he's going to be good. It looks like he's got still around a second lead over third place. And, of course, your current leader has a half a second lead over second place Matthew Dyer. Vicente Guerrero, how about the drive from this guy up to the field in this first stage? Up 11 spots from where he started. So is John Lynch. Currently sits just behind the 14 truck in 4th. William George still hanging around the top 5. Paul Witt struggling a little bit early, was hanging around the top 10 and 9th. Now we come back to check on him, and he is up to 6th. Justin Parham 7th. Tristan Fortson 8th and 9th. Albert Hewins and Jay Stinson rounding out the top 10. He's got a heated battle on his hands, as well as the white flag for stage 1 is in the air. And just as I thought Kenneth Rittinger was going to walk away with it, he's not. Guess who somehow found their way back side by side down the backstretch? Rittinger must have really used up his tires here. Matthew Dyer, I think he's going to have a shot to get by here. He's going to send it down a little extra hard. All he's looking for is a nose on a 24. He's going to get it. Can he make it stick at a turn 4? Kenneth Rittinger, he led every lap just about, but at the stage break, Matthew Dyer is going to win it. Heck of a comeback. Gets loose late in the run. Gap falls to about half a second with 2 laps to go. But the driver out of Santa Rosa, California is going to get stage points early, and he is looking pretty good right now. Looking to punch his ticket into that next round here. You always got to throw in the wild card, too. If one of these guys that right now are out somehow get the win tonight, all of a sudden they're in. And that's why it's important to get these stage points. Matthew Dyer doing a heck of a job getting those stage points here early. And I'll tell you what, pit stops are going to be underway. You better believe everybody is going to be coming in for a set of fresh Goodyear tires. We are going to take a quick commercial break to get, well, your leader. We'll talk to your stage winner, Matthew Dyer, when we get back, but we will stay side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stay with us. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Autism Speaks 225. All right, stage one complete. Everybody's came down, got themselves a fresh set of tires. They're getting ready to go at it for stage two. Going to be another pretty short sprint. But before we get to stage two, let's see if we can get a quick word with your stage one winner. Matthew Dyer, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, well, you know, the playoff format here for NOMA is a little interesting. I mean, we know in this first round, only 2 races. And, I mean, the first race, you look pretty good here, but how much would a win tonight mean?
It would definitely be good, to get that momentum, to keep going. But I think it's definitely going to be tough. You definitely saw in that first stage, tire wear was key. You saw Kenneth and I to shoot out, and the guys behind us saved a lot of tire. Were able to drive straight back up to us. So I think stage 2 is going to be even a bigger deal, and might even come down to fuel mileage to see if we can make it to the end of stage 2, or if we got a pit.
Well, speaking of the tire wear, we took it right on board with you towards the end of the stage. We saw you rocking the high side, but man, that thing looked tight. You think if we get a long run, you stay on the bottom for a little bit longer, or do you get to the top as soon as possible?
I think you get to the high side, as soon as possible. Atlanta has this weird thing where it starts loose, gets tight in the middle of a run, and then towards the end of the run, it starts to head back towards the loose side. So I definitely think you want to be on the outside for most of this run.
All right, well, we will be keeping an eye on you. You look fast early. Good luck the rest of the way, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
Thank you.
That is Matthew Dyer for Grandstand Racing, sliding it back down to his team right now. And as I always say, it seems like it is really the hardest part of doing the broadcast because there's so many channels, so many teams, so many varieties of strategy. And it looks like he did win the race off pit road 2 to note. So he is going to be leading the field back to green. And as fast as he was there, he is going to save some tire here. And that makes you wonder, does he lose a couple spots, or can he maybe hold on to the clean air and save some tires? That's always a goal, but risk versus reward, we've talked about it all night, and you saw in that first stage just how important tires were. Over 2.5 seconds worth of fall-offs. You're racing, that is a ton of time lost off new tires, and you better believe if we have a restart with, heck, even anywhere within 10 to go at the end of this race, I know that's looking quite a bit into the future. If you somehow saved yourself a set of tires, which everybody has 5, we know they're going to use 1 each stage, and there will be at least 1, if not 2 pit stops in that third stage, and you very well could be setting yourself up for a win here. And as a playoff driver, if you're not locked in, what better way to lock yourself in than getting a win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway? All right, Matthew Dyer, we talked about him leading him to green. Kenneth Riedinger is going to be starting second. Little work to do. We saw him jump to the lead last time, but this guy's a quick learner. We'll see. Maybe he plays the cat and mouse game this time, and he tries to sit behind Matthew Dyer, make him use his stuff up a little more. Vicente Guerrero made a heck of a run late in the last run. He is up to 3rd. John Lynch 4th. William George 5th, and rounding out row 3 and 6th is going to be Justin Parham. All right. Pace truck pulls off. We're ready to go back green for stage 2. Matthew Dyer, Kenneth Riedinger. Who's got the better tire strategy? Big jump for Matthew Dyer. He is going to get well clear of both lanes as he goes down the short chute into turn 1. Looking from the blimp cam, this is where everybody's going to go for a lot of positions. Ooh, man, Vicente Guerrero. Maybe got a little loose on the bottom. Watch for turns 3 and 4 to get really sketchy. The 96, William George. He's going to go up to the high side, try to take advantage of a slow 14 truck. Further back, Albert Hewins, a couple other guys, they continue to race it out up front. Kenneth Riedinger's already looking to the lead. You see he's sitting in the dirty air right now for the 2 of Matthew Dyer. Everybody looking a lot cleaner this time through turns 3 and 4. Nobody really slipped up. But up front, Kenneth Riedinger, he's trying to get a little bit of a run. Nothing there, but he's already looking to the high side in that 24 truck. Matthew Dyer still sticking to the bottom, and, who knows? Maybe he held a little strategy play from us. You can't give away all your secrets. You never know who's watching. But I mean, he said you got to get to the high side as soon as possible. I kind of question that a little bit because it always seems like the high side. Simple math. You're running more throttle. You're going to be burning more tires. It's not the shorter way around. And right now he's sitting on the bottom. I will say he's battling Kenneth Riedinger pretty hard here though for the position. And the longer these guys stay 2 by 2, the more of a chance it's going to give anybody else behind to catch up. And guess who is up to 3rd? Last week's winner, Paul Witt, and regular season champion. When I kind of came on, Paul Witt was having pretty good runs. Got the regular season championship, and I said to myself, okay, this guy had a pretty good regular season. Once we hit the playoffs, boy, he has gotten hot at the right time. Wins it last week. Looked fast all day. Makes a big run up to the front here in stage 1, and now stage 2, he is right back in the catbird seat where he was last week. Question is, how much tire did he use getting up here, and how much does he plan to use here to try to take over the lead from Matthew Dyer and Kenneth Rittinger? Looks like Rittinger has now finally taken the lead. Matthew Dyer would have liked to slide in there, but Paul Witt is having none of it. Maybe looking for a little side draft off the right rear, and he is going to look to the outside here. See how the 429 kind of ran in the middle there. We always talk about you're looking for that clean air through the turns, and you will see some interesting lines. You will see guys all the way up the top here at Old Atlanta, all the way on the bottom, and even in the middle like what we just saw there from Paul Witt. Let's look towards the back of the field here as these guys continue to sort it out. Ray Zerkut, 24th, still off track. Looking at Matthew Fritz. In fact, you'll see it on your scoring tower. Give this guy credit. Whatever strategy he tried, he's going to need some more help on it. But if somehow he can survive to this next caution, he is 2 laps down, and he's the only truck not on the lead lap. So the good news about that was he could get another lucky dog, put him 1 lap down. All he's going to need is a caution. The 75, William McKellar, currently sits 22nd. Not the night he wanted so far. Robert E. Morrison in 21st. Robert Duvendak in the 99 machine. Does he still have that front end damage? If he does, it doesn't look that bad. Let's take a look at it here. Oh, no, sure enough, he looks like there's still a little bit of scratches. They might have repaired it to the best they can. Not sure if he chose to use his fast repair yet or not. But he currently sits 20th. That is a playoff driver. In front of him is Randy Bonomi, another playoff driver in the 66 machine. Jeff Carlin, 18th. DJ Madish moving up a little bit now into 17th position. Vicente Guerrero, he's falling back right now, but I think this is all part of that tire saving strategy. He knows they're going to come back to him. It's just a matter of time. Joseph Fogg, 15th, going up to 14th. Sam Boutwell, John Bell, 13th. Robert Jordan in 12th. Albert Hewins, 11th. Joey Hickox rounding out the top 10. Russ Kilgore up in the top 10 in 9th. Treston Fortson in 8th. How about Jay Stinson up to 7th? Justin Parham. Remember when we said he went the wrong direction early? Well, he's flipped that right around, and he is looking to see if he can get past John Lynch, who is up 10 spots in 5th. William George in 4th. And in the top 3, well, you might as well throw him under a blanket. Maybe even top 4 now as William George is looking to get in this battle. Kenneth Rittinger still leads the way here, 43 laps in of 150. But Paul Witt in the 429 truck is looking to see if he can get him. Once we hit the line this time, it is going to be 34 laps to go still in stage 1, so still plenty of time. You don't want to make a mistake. Excuse me, I meant to say, yeah, no, actually 34 laps to go in stage 1, sure enough this time. But looking at the playoff battle, because that's what I got to assume everybody's really keeping an eye on. I know the drivers sure are right now. Your top 8 moving on to the next round would be Kenneth Rittinger, who's leading that battle. Paul Witt. Those two would be guaranteed. And you know what? I'm going to hold that thought. Let me rephrase that because I don't want to confuse anybody. Your top 8 in the playoff battle, not necessarily guaranteed to move on because, of course, it does go by points for the drivers that don't have a win. But right now, Kenneth Rittinger, Paul Witt, Matthew Dyer, Justin Parham, Jay Stinson, Joey Hickox. Those are all guys that are in the playoffs that are in the top 10. And then you'd have to go to Albert Hewins and Robert Jordan, who are just out. Those are the highest 8 running playoff drivers right now. However, that's, again, not necessarily the 8 that are guaranteed. We know Paul Witt's guaranteed to get in. And if Kenneth Rittinger can get this stage right here, I would have to think he might be guaranteed in as well, especially with the amount of stage points that he accumulated last week. And if he could accumulate this week, but nobody's going to know for sure until the end. And that's why you got to push that 100% every lap. Paul Witt continuing to search around for grip. Let's take a ride on board. He's going to look to the inside, so we're going to hold that thought here. Couldn't quite get it this time. I didn't really like that view either. Looking at the cockpit here. Slides back in behind. Rittinger, these guys maybe have just a slight bit of bad blood between last week. Of course, Paul Witt by no means meant for what happened between those two to happen, but no matter how you look at it, it happened, and Kenneth Rittinger, I'm sure, did not forget about it. Right here, Paul Witt's looking to the inside. Got to be careful. Gets a pretty good side draft there in the tribal. He's going to have to give Kenneth a little bit of room here, trying to squeeze him up to that outside wall. Down into turn 1. Can the 429 of Paul Witt take the lead? Kenneth Rittinger continuing to fight on the outside. This is exactly what Matthew Dyer likes to see. He knows he's just sitting back there saving tire right now. The more these guys waste tire, the quicker he will be able to catch them once those tires really start to fade. Paul Witt still working the inside. It was kind of interesting if you notice there. When Paul Witt was behind Kenneth Rittinger, it looked like Kenneth was running the bottom. And actually, Kenneth's going to kind of give him the spot here. Not sure if the truck's just not handling or if he just felt it's not really worth it right now, but the 24 gave that spot up a little easier than I thought things would go over for him. But what I was going to say is, if you kind of noticed there, it looked like Paul Witt had been kind of painting that white line, famously known as the Harvick line. And that's a fast lane here at Atlanta. We know that the top is fast. You can run a lot of throttle time, but if you're looking to save tire and you could do it right, if you could run right on that white line without getting loose, that'll help the truck turn a little bit more. That's what Paul Witt did. Kenneth Riddinger could not quite paint the white line, and it's looking like that may have cost him. Paul Witt has already pulled away to a comfortable half a second lead, but now we see Matthew Dyer in the 96 William George. They're going to sneak by Riddinger as well, and you got to wonder, does Matthew Dyer still have enough left in the tires to maybe try to go set his sights on Paul Witt? He's going to have 28 laps to do it this time at the line, so still plenty of time. And I don't know if it's go time just yet on the tires. I think you got to save some more, and it's hard to judge here if Kenneth Riddinger had used his stuff up again, or is maybe once he realized Paul Witt had him beat, did he decide, all right, maybe I'll go back here, save some tire, let him cool off. See if I got something for him here at the end. William George in the Cheetos machine currently sitting in that 4th position. He's looking to the inside here of Kenneth Riddinger off of turn 2, and there's his teammate Justin Parham sitting in 5th. How about John Lynch in 6th, the Jay Stinson 7th, Tristan Fortson 8th, Russ Kilgore 9th, and Joey Hickok still sitting in that 10th position. You kind of saw it right there. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's try it on the left front here of Paul Witt through turns 1 and 2, and you'll see just how close, at least through 3 and 4, he likes to get to the white line. We'll see what line he runs here down on 1 and 2. Big arc here. That's what you got to do at Atlanta. And look at those left side tires. He did indeed get him all the way down to the white line. Actually hooked him on the white line for just a little bit. And 3 and 4 here is where he's really going to make the magic work. Saving himself. You got to assume a pretty good amount of tire will ride on board on the cockpit here. Listen to the sliding. And I'll tell you what, I did not hear too much there. It's going to be interesting, though, because we know Matthew Dyer was saving probably even a little bit harder. He took that half second comfortable lead that Paul Witt had and just about immediately took a 1/10 of a second off of it. Kenneth Riddinger is still stuck up in that top line. Not sure if that's where he wants to be or not, but he has got a charging 96 and 19 just behind him. There's the 90. John Lynch, the 13 of Jay Stinson. He would like to make up a couple more positions if he can. But we are now 1/3 through this race tonight. Probably, if I had to guess, either the longest or one of the longest races here in the playoffs. And while maybe not as mentally grueling of a track such as Dover, Atlanta's one of those tracks where as soon as you think you can get comfortable, kind of cruise. Very bumpy, and if you hit a bump on old tires, that truck is coming around. You heard Matthew Dyer say that Atlanta's an odd track. Starts out really loose, swings really tight, and then almost gets loose again towards the end of the run. And he is still trying to track down Paul Witt. Different lines here. Paul Witt still running kind of that Harvick lane, except that time the truck didn't stick. Hold on now. Is Paul Witt maybe starting to get a little tight as well? That's the line right there through 3 and 4 that we saw Kenneth running just before his tires maybe started to give out. And he fell a lot of positions in a hurry. Paul Witt, he knows he's still going to have 23 laps to go next time around. And I think if your truck's starting to get tight at a track like Atlanta, anywhere over 10 laps to go before you know a run's guaranteedly to be over, you're going to be in trouble. But you know what's impressed me here tonight has been how clean everybody has kept it so far. Now, I know I'm probably giving it the announcer jinx, but I mean, all things considered, I was sitting here thinking as I was setting up the broadcast today, I was doing Atlanta's during officials week, and some of the top split lobbies, it is not an easy thing to do. Guys just do not handle well. See a lot of solo spins that turn into much more as the track is just too fast and too slick to avoid anything. But got a lot of talented drivers here in the NOMA Truck Series presented by Manny Rays, and they're showing you why right here. We have seen a lot of tough door-to-door racing here tonight, but what we haven't seen is the caution. We hope it continues to go that way. By the way, shout out to Manny Rays. Not sure if they're watching tonight or not, but the title sponsor for the Truck Series here. They've been very supportive of not only the Truck Series, but bringing me on here as the broadcaster, of course, that NOMA did, and they're very supportive, giving us a lot of love over here, and we certainly appreciate them, and we wish them all the best in their partnership with the NOMA Truck Series. Looking back here a little bit further, how about Albert Hewins? We saw this guy start picking up last week as well. Didn't quite get the run, got caught up in a couple of accidents, not of his doing, but at the same time, not that he could avoid. Another thing to note earlier, you might have figured it out by now, but all the drivers that are in the playoffs as well, whenever we show their driver info card, you'll see a little 16 there next to their name. That is to let you know that it is the round of 16. Of course, next time we are here for the NOMA Truck Series, that is going to be switched over to the number 8, signifying the round of 8 for 2 more races before we head to Chicagoland to decide the championship race and the championship winner. And of course, for that race, quick little insight to anybody that's watching. I already have some ideas for what I'm going to set up on that. I know a lot of guys in here have these little league banners. We're going to have a little... Oh, and Paul Witt, is he going to pit here? Sure enough, he is. Did not think there'd be a pit stop here in the second stage. This is interesting. Matthew Dyer stays out. We'll keep an eye on it. This threw me for a loop. 70% fuel, but man, I thought these guys would be able to go the second stage. You figure the first stage, well, I guess not. It is about 17 laps longer. It might have been close either way. Paul Witt's on pit road, and it looks like further back that might be the 90 of Ray Zercut. Nope, sorry, John Lynch, excuse me. 22 is Ray Zercut. The 90 of John Lynch here sitting in the pits. He is going to make his way out. So is Paul Witt, and I think we're going to drag a lot more down. Sure enough, we are. Looks like Albert Hewins, he is on the pits. Joey Hickox. Oh, we got one spinning. That looks like Randy Bonomi. He gets in the grass. Can he correct it? He does, but that is going to be a penalty. And, man, 2 weeks in a row now. What starts out as good race for Randy Bonomi goes so bad so quick in the 66. That is, like we said, going to be a penalty. And, man, a penalty at Atlanta is going to be very costly. I'll tell you who didn't want to see that probably was Matthew Fritz, as he was looking for all of these guys to stay clean and stay on the lead lap to finish this thing off. There's William McKellar. Looks like winning the race out is going to be Jay Stinson. Atlanta is one of those tracks where you're pretty much guaranteed to lose a lap. Maybe not if you're the leader and you have a pretty good lead, but looks like Matthew Dyer, he has now come to pit road. So has William George and Russ Kilgore. All right, so, you know, this shuffles the strategy up a bit more here. Remember, the stage 2 ends on lap 77. Ooh, it looks like William McKellar is repairing some damage in that 75 truck. Every time you see these guys pit here tonight, unless somehow we set up a fuel strategy where these guys maybe only have to take a lap or 2 of fuel, even then, I think you're going to see everybody take 4 tires on every stop. The fall off is just too much. I mean, 2.5 seconds a lap. You figure even if by not doing it, you get yourself a 20-second gap. Ooh, this is a little sketchy here. The 2 of Matthew Dyer had to work around the 96. Point is, even if you have a 20-second lead compared to a guy behind you with new tires, he's going to catch you in probably a little under 10 laps. You certainly don't want to cost yourself on strategy at a track such as Atlanta. There goes Vicente Guerrero. Is he looking to pit here? No, he's not, but he's going to get his doors blown off by the 90. John Lynch and the 2 of Matthew Dyer, who are both on fresh tires. Getting back, though, to what I was kind of mentioning earlier, stay tuned for. We're not going to give too much away, but we are going to have a thing involving the playoff drivers, banners. I'm thinking either on the actual broadcast, one of the areas where we normally have sponsor stickers on the overlay, or potentially on the entire starting soon screen. We're not going to let anybody know that, and that will, of course, only be for the Championship 4. Just one of the many perks you get by being there, I guess, if you will, but give all these guys credit, man, making it to the top 16. Oh, we got another one locking it up on the pits. Looks like they're going to get in okay. Was that? I don't think that was Kenneth Reading. No, sure enough, it wasn't. That was Robert Jordan, I'll tell you what. No, excuse me. Still got it wrong. Could not tell who that was. That was that. It might have been. It's that red truck. Looking at, who was that? For some reason, I am struggling right now to figure out. Was that? It's got to be Jeff Carl still sitting out on track right now. And back at it. For some reason, that's who it was. Treston Fortson. For some reason, the paint scheme is just not ringing a bell. It's usually how we identify these guys. Treston got a little tight. As long as he didn't speed, though, he's going to be fine. You know, if you weren't taking tires, maybe you don't want to lock it up, slide into the box, miss your box. But if you're taking tires, getting a little hot, at least you know you're giving it all. And if you can make pit road speed, then, hey, no harm, no foul, right? Up front, it is John Bell currently leading the way on that 5 truck. Ooh, into the outside wall goes the 5 truck. Man, what happened? Oh, he's getting into Sam Boutwell. Sam Boutwell holds on. What in the world happened to the 5 of John Bell? Boy, he was stuck in that outside wall for a little while, stays out. Oddly enough, my first split-second thought was, did he have a tire go down? Then I quickly thought, there was no shot because he was on the straightaway. You wouldn't think that'd get him into the outside wall, but man, that got a little close for a second. Let's go back and see if we can take a look what happened here to John Bell. And he was working his way off of turn 2 when the contact, if you will, initially started. But, you know, I don't think that there was necessarily any contact then. It was hard to say. No, there wasn't. Oh, man, you know, this might have been one of those things. Sometimes if you're a little loose off the corner and you turn back to the right just a little too quick, man, these things mix of a lot of horsepower, no grip. They will get it out from under you. And I think that might have been what happened to John Bell. He is coming to the pits now, but, you know, I'm not sure if he used his fast repair from earlier or not. If he did, this could potentially end John Bell's playoff hopes because he is accumulating a lot of damage on that 5 truck. Looking up towards the front, though, Robert Duvendak is currently leading the way. It is going to be 11 laps to go right now in Stage 1. Sam Boutwell currently sitting second. Robert E. Morrison third. Paul Witt up to fourth. And the battle for what would have been the lead between Paul Witt and Matthew Dyer right now, man, Paul Witt has 4 seconds on Matthew Dyer. You got to wonder if that's just the effect of coming in a couple laps before. In fact, I think it is. So now what's going to be interesting is to see, as this run finishes up, does Matthew Dyer all of a sudden gain that time back and Paul Witt loses it? To see how that pans out. John Lynch 6th, Jay Stinson 7th, Joey Hickox currently 8th, Kenneth Ridinger 9th, and the last person in stage points position is going to be Justin Parham in 10th. Another one of those playoff drivers. Oh, Robert E. Morrison. He has a little issue here. Not sure where he's at on track. We're looking for him now. I believe this is going to be getting into pit road incident. Oh, sure enough it is. Oh, man. 43's got some right side door damage. Pit road tonight has been a tricky place. And, you know, at Atlanta in general, it's pretty tricky, but definitely been a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. As you see there, that was Randy Bonomi's spin earlier, but we saw that. Let's take a look here. Oh, man, you see he's just got way too much speed. Just no shot of making it into the pits. You could tell that one early. Misses the commitment cone, slides to the grass. Didn't actually get the damage from there, so he must have got that from somewhere else. But either way, man, I'll tell you what, we probably had about a handful of speeding violations or unsafe pit entry violations. And a lot of guys going a lap down. What this is, or who this is also hurting right now is, man, Matthew Fritz back to 3 laps down. He got back to 2 after going 4. Due to a technical malfunction, but with this many trucks a lap down and the racing looking pretty green so far, I just unfortunately don't know if Matthew Fritz is going to have a shot at making it to the round of 8. But a lot of things could still happen. Still a long ways to go. I'll tell you what, we are still 5 laps away from halfway through the Autism Speaks 225. And the man with the best paint scheme out in the field tonight is leading the way. That's Paul Witt in the 429. There's Sam Boutwell, John Bell behind. Robert Duvendak, I was just getting ready to say, you got to expect a pit stop soon here. And he's going to do it. Coming to 7 laps to go before the stage, and he will have to surrender that lead. Probably surrender at least a lap here. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out, but maybe a little strategy play here from the 99, hoping for a caution, anything, but he is not going to get it right now. And I think if we're going to have a caution tonight, it's going to be on a restart, and if we get one, then maybe we see a couple more, but 99 slides into his box. Man, he got that thing locked up. Pitting on pitting on new tires is one thing, especially at a track like Atlanta. Pitting on old tires at a track like Atlanta, man, a whole nother monster to try to tame. Paul Witt is back out in front, and through all the pit cycling, got himself a pretty comfortable lead. But last time we checked it, it was about 4 seconds. We said it'd be interesting to see here if Matthew Dyer kind of cuts that down towards the end of this run. It's about 3 seconds now, but not necessarily closing just yet. Some lap traffic starting to play a little bit of a role here as Robert E. Morrison had another issue here. This is coming back out on track. Oh, man. I'm not sure if he shifted down or what. That's a big hit for the 43 on both sides. Let's take a ride on board here. I'm not sure. He looked like he was fine. He got to the straightaway, but there's a little bit of bumpiness here. Let's see what happens. No, he did not downshift. It's just that slippery here tonight. You saw he was already up to 2nd or 3rd gear, maybe sounded like 3rd, and the back end just got a little too light. Tires started spinning, and around it went. And, man, big trouble for Robert E. Morrison up front. Paul Witt gap now down to about 2.5 seconds, and You know, I'd like to say I think it'll stand, and I honestly do, but I mean, we saw Matthew Dyer catch Kenneth Rittinger over half a second in just 2 laps, so we'll never call it impossible, but I think with the clean air that Paul Witt's got right now, it's kind of just sitting in cruise mode. And Matthew Dyer right now has got to be still feeling pretty good, although maybe not going to get the stage win in this stage. He knows he's got a pretty fast truck. Can't really make any adjustments, but get some new tires. Maybe try a little different strategy, maybe be a little aggressive earlier, try to get some clean air on the nose and see what he can do. Jay Stinson, John Lynch, these are 2 guys very impressive tonight. John Lynch especially comes back in here after not being in here for a couple of weeks, and he is beating the brakes off some of these guys. Right now up 12 spots from where he started in that final podium position. Jay Stinson currently sitting in 4th, up 8 from where he started, and Kenneth Rittinger back up to 5th. Joey Hickox in 6th, so that's going to put 2 of the Hickox Racing drivers in the top 10. Justin Parman 7th, Russ Kilgore 8th. Tristan Fortson, who we saw make that pit stop, worried about if he sped. Looks like he didn't, because he is still hanging around the top 10 and 9th. And Albert Hewins, another playoff driver, rounding out the top 10. Randy Bonomi and Robert Jordan just looking out right now in 11th and 12th. The gap continuing to close, and it seems like it's hard to say. I mean, with the way this gap closed, you know Matthew Dyer's taking notes, and Paul Witt is in a little bit of dirty air right here behind the 99 of Robert Dubnak, who is trying desperately to not go another lap down if he can help it here. And he's going to fight Paul Witt a little bit for it, but I don't know if he's going to be able to fight him enough here. Paul Witt, he's got to run down the straightaway, going to look to the outside. Dubnak's going to give him the outside, but, you know, the longer these 2 go side by side, down to 2 seconds, excuse me, but it's a white flag lap, so it's not going to be enough time. Seems like the short pitch strategy worked out pretty well for Paul Witt. He was the first one on pit road of the top 3, and he came out at least 4 seconds, if not more, ahead of Matthew Dyer once they all cycled out. That's because he got more laps on those fresh tires, I think. And that's where sometimes you play the game. If it's a really, really long run and you go in too early, then maybe that guy that went a little bit later gets you. But I think in this case, Paul Witt had it timed up perfectly, and he gets the stage win here. It looks like he is still going around here. And there you go. There's the caution I was about to say. Please don't tell me I somehow misheard something, but no, Paul Witt does get the stage 2 win at Atlanta, and the Autism Speaks 225. Matthew Dyer brings it home 2nd. John Lynch 3rd. Jay Stinson 4th. Kenneth Rittinger 5th. Joey Hickox 6th. Justin Parham 7th. Russ Kilgore 8th. Tristan Fortson 9th. And Albert Hewins rounds out the top 10. Up 14, by the way, from where he started. Good run for Albert, by the way. This is a Max Speed TV driver. You know, when I first kind of joined in on the series, Max Speed TV, they are one of the dominant teams, especially on the Super Speedway side for the NOMA series. But here in the Truck Series, Paul Witt has kind of put the team on his back. Of course, still has stellar teammates, but nonetheless, he already had himself locked into the round of 8, but he wants to make more of a statement, try to build the momentum even higher going into the off week, and then after that into what I believe is Texas. But either way, we know that everybody, even guys that pitted late, well, maybe not Robert Dubnak. Some of these guys looking for a wave round, potentially stay out, but you better believe everybody on the lead lap is coming in here to get a fresh set of tires. Sure enough, they do. So pit stops underway at Atlanta. We're going to take another break. We'll be back. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we are 2 of 3 stages complete here for the Autism Speaks 225. All right, well, stage 1 winner was Matthew Dyer. Stage 2 winner is Paul Witt. We're going to see if we can dial him up. Paul Witt, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do, Austin. I got you.
All right, well, it's a beautiful looking paint scheme, and it looks even better out in front here tonight. Looked like we saw kind of a split strategy between you and Matthew Dyer. It looked like you fought pretty hard for the clean air. Pitted early, and it worked out well. So with that in mind, what's the game plan with pit strategies for the rest of the night?
I got a couple of plans up my sleeve. I just don't know how it's going to all play out. You know, it all depends if cautions come out or not. So we'll just have to play it by ear. I do have a couple strategies in my head to go with. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. That played out pretty good. You know, I wore my stuff out that first run because I had to start in the back, and I was trying to be aggressive but being patient all at the same time, and that's hard to do at a track like this.
It certainly is, but seeing you fight for that clean air with some of the other playoff drivers. Speaking of playoffs, we know that you got the win last week. We know that you're already locked into the round of 8. Does that kind of change the mindset at all if you're racing door to door with some of these guys, or do you still go for it?
Nah, I'm still going for it. I'm really not locked in. I mean, probably by now I am, but it's not a win and you're in. It's still all done by points. So starting at the back of the pack, I really had to be a little bit patient on it. So just needed a good start. I got some stage points, so those stage points should lock me in now to the next round. So now I'm just going to try to get this Autism truck into victory lane, since it's Autism Speaks race. It'd be nice to see it in there.
Absolutely. All right, well, good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if we see you at the end.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's Paul Witt, Max Speed TV driver in the 429 truck. And, you know, I'll tell you what, he taught me something that I certainly did not know. I thought it was a win in your end format. It is not. You heard him. He said it is based off points, and that shuffles things up more for even everybody. And, you know, guys that feel comfortable right now, they're probably not feeling, or that I thought were feeling comfortable right now, maybe not feeling so comfortable. And guys that I would think aren't feeling so comfortable right now, maybe feel a little more comfortable than I initially thought. We'll have to see. But, you know, as Paul Witt kind of said there towards the end, the stage points that he's got right here, the win last week, some of the good stage finishes, you got to think that he's got himself locked into the next round. He feels pretty comfortable about it, but he said he's still going to be going for it. Every lap led is going to be important here, as we are now over halfway through the Autism Speaks 225. The final stage at Atlanta is underway. Boy, we saw big tire spin there towards the back. I think it was Tristan Fortson, and I don't know how in the world he held on to that truck. Man, that was close. The downside is he is going to lose a ton of positions. He has already fallen back. The good news is that's going to help anybody that's towards the front, but how about the power move here from John Lynch? He is looking to take the lead away from Paul Witt. Oh, the 90 truck's getting loose, and yet again another wicked save. This time it is the 90 of John Lynch. Matthew Dyer looks to capitalize on that situation. Kenneth Reininger, he wants to follow, but Matthew Dyer's going to dive low. And man, you talk about a momentum track. Atlanta one slip up, and look, two positions in just a pair of corners is what the 90 truck's going to lose. Opens the door a little bit for Paul Witt to try to extend his lead, but we'll see. Does Matthew Dyer switch the strategy around? We talked about he was catching. He's got a fast truck tonight, but maybe this time he try to fight for that clean air a little bit earlier. Ooh, yellow flag is out. Not sure who it's for here. Ooh, potentially the 14 of Vicente Guerrero. Looks like he may have spun. Ooh, Tristan Fortson. He is all banged up. And you're going to need more than a Band-Aid to stick on that truck if you're looking to get it back out on track. Smoke coming out the tailpipes. And the 17's day just went from bad to worse. We saw him get a bad restart. But man, what happened here? This is something that looks like it took place on the backstretch. And it sure enough did. Ooh, 3 wide here. And I think this is going to end up being a case of a driver getting loose. Oh, man, actually the 17 started getting tight, gets up into the 14. That turns Vicente Guerrero down back into the 17, and the rest is history from there. Let's take a couple more views of it. Tristan Fortson And that's not really a good angle. Let's see if we can get TV2 on it. Just ever so slightly tight, man. That's just what it takes here. And actually that second hit was net code, but they were going to hit each other anyway, so it didn't really matter. Let's see. Oh, here's a pretty good shot for you. They were 3 wide, and I think that's pretty much why Vicente couldn't really go up anymore. The 17 may not have realized that they were 3 wide, expecting the 14 to go up, and because of that, he starts sliding up, or heck, maybe even the truck just really wouldn't rotate at all, and he just trying to get out of it and everything, and unfortunately just kind of chased up about a lane and a half into the 14. Let's take one more view from the chopper cam. This should tell us a pretty good story about it here. And I think that might very well end. Well, it shouldn't end the 17 trucks days. They do all have a fast pair. We'll have to see. And, man, I think Vicente maybe gets clear there, but still by no means had to go up, and contact ensued. This is a pretty big hit for the 17. Little surprised that totaled it, but nonetheless, pretty solid impact into that inside safer barrier. I guess it's probably good he didn't hit about 50 yards farther down, or he would have hit concrete, and things may have been a lot more ugly. All right, going back live up front, 87 of 150 completed. Paul Witch, current leader. Matthew Dyer, second. Kenneth Reedinger, third. John Lynch, fourth. Justin Parham rounding out the top 5. Paul Witt, Matthew Dyer, Kenneth Reedinger, your top 3 are all playoff drivers. And you got to go back to 5th to find Justin Parham. Randy Bonomi in 7th. That's a playoff driver. Albert Hewins, DJ Maddish, and Jay Stinson, 8th, 9th, and 10th, all playoff drivers as well. Going back to 11th, Sam Boutwell, playoff driver. Joey Hickox, playoff driver. Robert Duvendak, playoff driver. Jeff Carl sitting back in 15th as a playoff driver. And rounding out the playoffs, you got Robert Jordan in 18th, John Bell in 19th, and Matthew Fritz, the last playoff driver in the field tonight, currently sitting in 20th. As we talked about it, it's the round of 16 right now, but it's an elimination race here tonight. And it's a points elimination, which makes things a little more interesting. And you know, although a win and you're in as a driver kind of makes you feel good up here in the booth, I think it works out better for us that it's actually points. And guys can't just simply get in with a win. Because of that, we're going to see a lot more racing throughout this whole race. You're not going to really see anybody. Let's say Paul Witt maybe gets himself in. I know it's a virtual race, but you never know. You might have a guy try to play it safe, fall to the back. When it's all about points and total points accumulation, there will be none of that. You got to go from the get-go, and looks like we have to want to go signal next time, so we should be going green with about 61 laps to go, it's looking like. And speaking of 61 laps to go, with that caution coming out, that is the first non-scheduled green flag caution. Maybe I should just say caution for incident that we've had tonight. And I talked about earlier, I said, I think if there's a chance of us getting a string of cautions or guys maybe starting to get a little over their heads, it's going to be if we get a caution this last stage break. We've done so. Still got a long ways to go, so hoping everybody can kind of keep their calm. But, man, we've seen it more than once this season. One caution tends to trigger a bunch of them. Looking ahead at the schedule that I told you I'd talk about earlier, sure enough, next week is an off week for the NOMA Truck Series, so you will not see us here on Ghost Racing Network or, well, any network for that matter. And then after that, May 20th, we do head to Texas Motor Speedway, the new one. Boy, let me tell you what, that track is a blast to drive in the Truck Series. A couple different lanes. You can work the high side on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You're going to see a lot of crossovers. That is another tire-saving track, but the racing is good nonetheless. After that, we head to Las Vegas. And that's a very draft-heavy track. We're going to see if guys can perform in a single-file, double-file line, door-to-door the whole time before we go to Chicagoland. Fun fact, I've never broadcasted Chicagoland. In fact, I have never raced there on iRacing, but I've certainly seen things with it. An exciting track, and I believe that might be a pretty wide-open track. Going to be a good race for these guys nonetheless. You know, you never know if we'll get another caution or not, so quick reminder of where we're going to head next here on Ghost Racing Network, and that is on Monday to the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series for the Kansas Spring 200. And NOMA and that series are probably my 2 favorite series to broadcast in terms of league. They both always provide great racing. You can never predict what's going to happen next, and all around great series. All right, pace truck looking to pull off. Things are going to get really crazy right here. Will it go green all the way? We're about to find out. Paul Witt takes the green flag, gets a good jump on Matthew Dyer. And you see immediately he's looking to break the drafts high, low, trying to keep both of these guys even down into turn 1. The longer he can do that, the bigger a gap he can pull. But better believe on the backstretch that gap's going to close up in a hurry. John Lynch drops back down behind the bumper of Kenneth Rinninger. He's looking to get up in front of Matthew Dyer, and got to show some patience here. Looks like we did have a couple guys in the chat here. Kenneth Rinninger is going to stay behind the 429, maybe looking for a lane. Oh, man, giving the back bumper to Paul Witt. Oh, my goodness. Kind of shoved Paul Witt through the corner there, and he is still hanging tight on him. He's going to look for a big side draft here down the front stretch. I think that might have been a little friendly. Hey, remember last week? Well, I'm here now, and you better get out of the way. Kenneth Rinninger with a power move to the inside. He is going to take over the lead. Paul Witt shuffling back to second. He hops in front of John Lynch. Looks like Mr. Sega GameCube. I'm assuming that's one of the drivers in here, obviously, which, what if that was Treston Fortson? I don't think it might have been. He says, my night's done. Go get him, Paul. No, that was not Treston Fortson, I don't believe. Guys have extra tires. It will be close. It will be close, but they may be able to make it to the end from here on one stop. Guys have extra tires that will not go green until the end. Just shy of 33 laps of fuel is what they can carry. And if that's the case, everybody should be good to go on just one stop. If they're just short of 133, they should only have to do about 30 and 30, maybe 31 and 31. And then he said if it does go green, I saw Fritz pit. He'll be one to watch if he doesn't get beat up in traffic. Well, did Fritz get back on? No, Fritz is still hanging 2 laps down. So although he did pit, that is probably why. He's got tires. He figures he might as well use them. We saw Matthew Fritz, of course, with the virtual mechanical issue, technical difficulties, whatever you want to call it, if you will, earlier. And put him out of the race. Paul Witt's looking to fight back here. He gets a run on the outside. I thought maybe he'd take it, but he doesn't. Going to stay behind. Kenneth Rinninger down into turn 3. And let's do a quick tire count. Everybody, I don't think we would have really seen anybody pit during that last caution right there. It was a pretty quick one. We just went green from guys taking tires, but overall, everybody, at least the leaders, the guys that are fighting for a shot to win this race or maybe even a top 10 finish, I believe should all have 2 sets of tires left. Unless anybody did decide to pit on that last caution that was on the lead lap. Don't think they would, though. Yes, sure enough, everybody took a set of tires at the end of stage 1, in the middle of stage 2, and at the end of stage 2. Would indeed leave everybody that starts out with 5 sets of tires with 2 sets left. Paul Witt is not going away right now. He continues to put the pressure to the back bumper of Kenneth Rinninger, and I think I like the way he's doing this here. Oh, man, he almost upset the back end of that 24 truck. Ooh, do we have a little smoke ahead here? Maybe just a little bit from something that happened the last lap, but ooh, we got one on the wall further back. I think that might have been Jay Stinson. Sure enough, it's one of these guys back here. I could not actually tell who it was. Just slight contact. Similar to what we would call a Darlington strike, but here at Atlanta. And going back up front, though, I think Paul Witt's showing a lot of patience right here to Kenneth Rinninger. He knows that they've still got a long run, and honestly, that if they did make it on that one stop here, it would be a split set. A split set, everybody would have to max their run out on fuel with tires, so you're not really going to have anybody necessarily pitting early. Maybe by a lap or two, which of course can pay dividends here at Atlanta. We saw the workout for Paul Witt on the last run, but with that full run on a set of tires, that is a long run here at Atlanta. You have got to be able to conserve them. If you use them early on a run that could potentially go this long, you are not going to have anything for the end of the race, and we're closing in on the 2/3 mark here, almost at lap 100 of 150. William George still hanging around John Lynch's bumper. That is the battle for third. Going back a little farther here, Matthew Dyer, he's hanging around, saving some tire. Jay Stinson going back. Albert Hewins still having a pretty good run. He is up in 10th position right now, up 14 still from where he started. DJ Madish, one of the playoff drivers, kind of been slowly but surely working his way through the field. Not quite knocked on the door of top 10, but still in 13th, and a solid run for the 25. A little damage on the right side, though. He might need a little bit more here if he's going to want to advance to the next round. Looking back, though, some of the guys that really needed a pretty decent race and just unfortunately didn't get it. Matthew Fritz, I got to believe he might have been looking okay, but man, not sure how it's going to turn out for the 48 truck after this. John Bell, another guy, Sam Boutwell, he was doing all right. Robert Jordan, another one, really needed a good run tonight, didn't get it. Jeff Carl, just did not work their way. Randy Bonomi even, but Randy Bonomi's trying to recover a little bit here. He's in the 10th position, racing with Russ Kilgore and Albert Hewins. That's Joey Hickox just in front. Joey up 12 from where he started. Hickox racing, maybe been the other kind of been 3 power teams, actually. Let me put it that way. 3 power teams that I've really noticed here since I picked up the NOMA Truck Series. And that would be Max Speed TV, Grandstand Racing, and Hickox Racing. And, you know, it's kind of hard to rank one. I think if we had to rank one overall on dominance, it'd probably be Grandstand Racing at this point in the season. Of course, Grandstand Racing is Kenneth Rittinger, Justin Parham, and Matthew Dyer. They've just been so fast as a group. And now we're seeing Paul Witt really start to fade here. He's going to lose 2, maybe 3 positions through 3 and 4. And now you got to ask yourself, has he used up his tires, or is he realizing, hey, we still got a long ways to go? Maybe I ought to back it off a little bit, settle in. I'll let Kenneth Rittinger go run his stuff. See what happens for the 429 truck. But he was running that dirty air for a little while, and the longer you run in the dirty air, the more tire you're going to use. I was a little surprised to not see him either go for the pass or back it off just a little bit and look for a different lane, but seems like maybe he's recovered here a little bit. Maybe just had a bad turn. He's going to get back past William George and Matthew Dyer. Matthew Dyer now also looking to get by William George on the bottom side. Kenneth Rittinger has the gap up to about 0.8 of a second over John Lynch, and almost a second over third place Paul Witt, which seems to be his biggest competition right now. And that does bring me to my second team that I was going to mention, which is, I think I'd have to give it to Hickox Racing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Max Speed TV, a very powerful team. They have your regular season champ on it, Paul Witt. But overall, I mean, Jay Stinson, Joey Hickox, Randy Bonomi at times, they got all 3 of their playoff drivers in the mix. Xander Short, Max Speed TV, we have not seen him in the last couple weeks. They really could have used his help. Of course, Robert Jordan is on there, but he has been struggling the last couple weeks. And William McKellar, I believe, is on, you know, let me double check that. I believe William McKellar is another one of the Max Speed TV drivers, but actually, speaking of which, yep, sure enough he is, but he's off track right now. Kind of adding to that point about things just not really going their way. And then, of course, that would put Max Speed TV third with that dominating driver of Paul Witt. All right, well, this time at the line, it's going to be 47 laps to go. We're slowly but surely closing in on that pit window, and the final race isn't really going to be on until we hit that final pit stop. Assuming we don't have any cautions now, this thing might very well go green the rest of the way. Paul Witt has now lost that position again to Matthew Dyer, who is looking to set his sights now on John Lynch. John Lynch, probably the best performing non-playoff driver out here tonight. Him and William George both have been putting on a show for the fans watching out here tonight. Oh man, Matthew Dyer gets up. Or sorry, not Matthew Dyer, excuse me, Paul Witt. Matthew Dyer in front of Paul Witt. Justin Parham looked like he flinched there for a second. I'm not sure if he had to catch the truck or just got a little nervous seeing the one truck to his inside. These guys kind of stuck in a battle right now. And the longer they do that, the more the front 2 are starting to pull away. Kenneth Rittinger is really enjoying that clean air right now. And if anybody can adjust in a race, it has got to be this guy. It seems like he could start a race being dead last, worst speed on the track. Truck is not handling, and yet somehow by the end of the race, give him just a chance, one final pit stop, or even in this case, that caution we just had at the beginning of the stage, and he figures it out, gets himself out front, and now it's just a matter of can he close the deal off. Still, a lot of times, a lot of things can happen, and a lot of hungry drivers could still track him down. We don't know who's been doing what with tires, who saved their stuff, and who hasn't. But sometimes one of the cons of trying to save too much tire and getting back in this traffic is all of a sudden when it's time to go, all the tire that you worked on saving, you waste trying to get through the traffic, and then the guy who's been sitting down in front in clean air is so far gone that it doesn't really matter how good your tires are, you just can't catch him. And we should be looking for that final pit stop somewhere on lap, I'd say probably on lap 117? 117, if you will, maybe 118. That'd be the earliest, but I think realistically we're going to see guys maybe wait until around lap 120. At least if you're the leader, I think you wait till then. Make sure you get all out of this set of tires, maybe be able to run a little harder on the next set of tires, and that way if it's close on fuel, you don't somehow run out. But we might see guys further back try to pit as soon as the fuel window opens, try to get a couple extra laps on those new tires on the early side, see if they can get some track position, get a little cleaner air, and of course they would have to hold it for the rest of the way. Knowing that we still got about 10 laps, we are going to take our final break under green. We will stay side by side though, so you don't miss any of the battles. Be right back. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Autism Speaks 225. Well, guess what? Just when you think, or well, when I thought even when Kenneth Rittinger maybe had finally figured that out, here comes his teammate, took over second during break from John Lynch. And now he is looking to see if he can track down the 24 truck. With 40 laps to go here at Atlanta, John Lynch now goes back to third, Paul Witt fourth. Matthew Dyer still rounding out the top five. Paul Witt, though, now going to take over that fourth position, or was taking over that fourth position, if you will, as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Justin Parham is really working the top side. In fact, almost above that third seam. A lot of times the seams at a track like Atlanta can be a little sketchy. You don't really want to get two tires stuck on them so you can start to have issues. But right now it's working very nicely for the 19. He has got the gap on his teammate down to under 2/10 and now under 3 truck lengths. Tell you what, John Lynch is not going away either. He is following this 19 truck, and will we see Kenneth Rittinger try the same strategy he tried on Matthew Dyer earlier, and that is to take away the line that these guys are running? Let's see here. This time, Justin Parham decides to go low. Not sure if he felt like that truck was really burning a lot of tire up top or if he was just getting too tight. Running that dirty air, we've talked about it all night. It is going to make passing a really difficult task, but if the 19 can somehow get by the 24 before pit stops, all of a sudden a guy who has not seen the lead once tonight maybe looking to set sail for the rest of this race. John Lynch, oh, he gets in the outside wall. Can he hold on to it? Oh, he's got to be careful, man. We almost saw him get back into the outside wall. He holds on to it, but he is going to lose a ton of time on the 2 leaders, maybe lose a position. Heck of a save. Remember what we saw happen earlier to Robert E. Well, kind of similar to what happened to Robert E. Morrison, but he got sideways. He had the initial save, and from that initial sideways, by the way, he did get some right side damage, but man, all of a sudden you try to get back in the throttle and you know you have to get back up by the wall to arc it for the next set of corners, but you got to be really careful in doing so. He was, and it works out this time, and he's going to be all right. Up front now, battle between teammates for the lead. Justin Parham on the bottom, Kenneth Rittinger in the middle. These guys are going to go side by side. Kenneth Rittinger, especially at this point in the tires, knows how important it is. He really needs to keep the clean air, but Justin Parham really wants it. Pit stops coming in probably about 6 laps. Can the teammates get sorted out before then? How about Paul Witt, who is up to third? What does he think about all this? Does he make a move? And I'll tell you what else that did to a driver like John Lynch. I mean, you mix the damage that he got from that, which is probably the main factor in this, but also he got a little bit extra tire wear than the rest of these guys from that slide down and then the slide back up when the back tires started coming out from under him. But these two still battling out side by side. This is exactly what Matthew Dyer and Paul Witt like to see, because they are both burning their tires up and they're stalling each other out at the same time. 116 of 150 completed. And if you're just tuning in, you might have picked the right time to do so. We're getting ready for pit stops, and then we are getting ready to see who can save their tires and set themselves up for the race at the end at Atlanta. The round of 16 at the NOMA Truck Series. We started last week at Auto Club, had some great racing there. A little bit of tire saving, but by no means as much as what we have seen here tonight. The fall off has still continued to be the most impressive thing. On new tires, the last times we saw these guys running were 31.5s. We're not quite at the end of the tire cycle, and while they picked up speed, you see it's still looking like 33.7s. So still over a 2 seconds worth of time. And man, look at Matthew Dyer, boy. He is really closing up on the back of these two. They keep going at it. I cannot believe that somehow neither of them have gotten clear, and that neither of them have budged. A lot of times, and just as I say that, looks like maybe Justin Parham either had to or is going to. But I was going to say a lot of times, oh, we're going to see pit stops. We are, and that's why the two finally bailed out of it. Boy, that was just about right on cue, actually. They can all get in clean. They do. Oh, man, we got one coming in hot further out back. Looks like maybe touched the grass. I think they got in okay, though. That was Randy Bonomi in the 66. He has had a couple pit stop struggles here tonight. This is right on the window. I'm talking like as soon as it opened, I would have thought these guys would have waited, you know, at least an extra lap to play it safe. But I guess it may have been really hurting on the tires or something, because they're going to get out immediately. We'll see who wins the race out of pit road here. But yes, everyone going to come down here, top off, and it is going to be 4 tires and fuel. And if you're some of the guys that somehow stayed out the extra lap, I think it's going to do you benefits. Oh, no, did Kenneth Rittinger speed? I think he did. Oh, he did. The 24 still sitting on pit. This is a disaster. Man, what was looking like a good night, and the one thing you couldn't afford to do here was speed, and the 24 speeds. There's Paul Witt and Matthew Dyer. They both get into their box. No issues. Oh, that is a very, very tough break. This is going to end Kenneth Ridinger's chances of winning or probably even getting a top 5 unless we were to get a caution. I'll tell you what, he is still sitting on pit road as another group finishes their pit stop. And, man, at a certain point, you got to start to wonder, is he maybe having an issue? No, it was just how long the penalty was. That is a very, very rough break. There is Justin Parham working his way down in turn 1. And now the battle is on. Where are they going to blend out? Ooh, Justin Parham did not get nearly as big of a lead as I think maybe he thought. Also going to catch lap traffic at a bad time. Jay Stinson and Joey Hickox, the two teammates, they're going to come out and see if they can capitalize on some positions here as we come to 30 laps to go. Matthew Dyer, Paul Witt flying by the inside on those new tires. So remember the lap times we saw for your leader. This is still a guy out on old tires, 34th for Vicente Guerrero. Let's compare that to a guy out on new tires. Let's compare that to your leader, in fact, Justin Parham. And you are looking at 31.6. Just showing you just how fast that is. Oh, man, further out back, we had one get really loose. I think that might have been your leader, Vicente Guerrero. Sure enough, it was. Some damage to the right side, man. I'm not sure if that's making things worse or what. Oh, caution's out. Caution is out. Who is it for? Oh, we got smoke on the front. Still not sure who it's for yet. Don't have anything showing anybody, but hold on a second. This is going to throw everybody for a loop. This is a awkward time for caution, if you will, but let's go see if we can figure out what brought it out. Ooh, John Bell, sure enough. Boy, I tell you what, first try, and I'm going to get it right. Let's see what happens here to John. Boy, he had a lot of damage struggling tonight, and this is kind of looking like it maybe trying to get to pit road and trying to get down to pit road speed, and I'm not sure if he was in the middle of a downshift or what. But that thing is going to spin out, and he's got the wheel cranked to the right. He's trying, but on old tires, the back's coming around faster than the front's going to turn, and man, that's a pretty big shot into the inside wall. Not safe for barrier concrete, so that's going to add even more damage to that truck. Slides back up. Man, lucky that nobody else was coming when he first came back up, so nobody hits him. And that would have happened just a little bit farther up. It probably wouldn't even have drawn the caution out, but where that accident happened was the perfect area to bring out the caution. Let's get a couple more views of it here. And we'll have to ride on board to see if that was indeed in the middle of a downshift or not. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's ride on board with the 5 truck. And I got to think by this point, man, John Bell is going to need a miracle to somehow make the round of 8. Just did not go his way tonight. A lot of optimism, but let's take a listen. You know what? He was not even in the middle of a downshift either. That tells you just how difficult it is to get in on old tires. Wasn't in the middle of a downshift. In fact, in my opinion, it sounded like he was trying to be a little extra conservative. And that very well might finish off the 5 truck for the night. All right. Justin Parham is your current leader. Matthew Dyer is second. We got a lot of trucks looking to see if they can get the free pass. Paul Witt third, Jay Stinson fourth, and Joey Hickox running out the top 5. I'll tell you what. Normally we're getting interviews from the front. Let's go a little farther back here and see if we can't get an interview from Jay Stinson. Currently sits in that 4th position. Hickox Racing driver. Hey Jay, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, I mean, maybe let's start off. The truck tonight looking pretty good. I don't know if I'd say it's got winning speed just yet, but you certainly look fast along with your teammate up there, Joey Hickox. And at the end of the day, this race is going to come all down to points and who makes the round of 8. Knowing that and keeping that in mind, what's the strategy here to keep this thing clean to the end?
Yeah, me and Joey's been working together about all race, trying to figure out, stage points and getting ourselves in a position to get in that final 8. You're right. I don't think I have winning speed with Witt and Parham and Redinger up there. If I can get around, it's hard to pass here, so if I get around a couple of guys, maybe I get close. But the strategy is stay clean, keep with the lead pack, and try to get as best finish as I can, and hope the guys that are in front of me don't finish in front of me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, another thing I want to kind of ask about is, it's kind of a late caution here a little bit. It's going to be about 25-ish laps to go when we go green. Do you have an extra tire set left? And if you do you try to save it and anticipate a restart within 10 to go take him?
I do have an extra set. I am anticipating maybe something later to take those tires if need be. Hopefully we'll just run at 25. I feel like I got long distance speed, not up front fast speed. So if this thing can go to 25, I may have a shot to stay up there against with some older tires. So I'm hoping for that.
All right, well, the round of 8 is calling your name. We'll see if you can answer the call. Good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, thank you. That's Jay Stinson. I'll tell you what, I've been struggling tonight. I'll tell you what, they say, I think, like the owner of Ghost Racing Network, if you will, Bryce, of course, the founder. I heard him once say in an interview that he tried to do one without water, and that was a mistake. And I thought, it can't be that difficult. Well, that is certainly the problem I'm facing tonight. In fact, I will be right back so I get a quick drink. All right, and we are back at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Autism Speaks 225. Row 1 is going to be Justin Parham leading him back to green. Matthew Dyer on the outside. Paul Witt, Jay Stinson, row 2. And rounding out row 3 is going to be Joey Hickox and Jeff Carl. It's about to get crazy. I don't think it's quite go time yet. 25 laps is not a long way, but it's a lot of laps for these Goodyear tires. We'll see who decides to go when. Who's going to get the win and see if they can't make their way into the round of 8. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Justin Parham gets a phenomenal jump, but actually Matthew Dyer, maybe the best restart from the outside that we have seen all night. Of course, everybody on pretty new tires, so we don't have to really worry about any tire spin. But already we see Paul Witt working to the bottom. I think he's going to be a little more aggressive, trying to get that clean air this time than what we've seen before. Somebody that I meant to note under that is Kenneth Reedinger. We're going to be watching this guy. He's got a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to get back to the lead. We'll see. Can he do it? Is he maybe also one of those drivers saving tires, hoping there's a big wreck? But already, look at the run from Paul Witt. He gets clear of both leaders out of turn 4. Little smoke on the front stretch. Ooh, Kenneth Reedinger may have had some issues further back. What happened here? And it looks like he's okay. I'm not sure what this was from here. Let's take just a quick look. I'll tell you what, this was on the front stretch. This was coming to the restart. Oh my goodness. Hubbard Hewen spun it coming into the restart zone. That's what happened. And that is what ultimately gave Kenneth Reedinger even more damage here. Boy, that's not what he wanted. Oh, man, yeah, the 55 just loses it. 24 tags him in the back. Somehow doesn't hit the outside wall, but it's close. It could have brought out another caution, but it doesn't. We stay green, and Paul Witt has taken the lead. Justin Parham, we saw try a crossover on the front stretch. Didn't work out. He has fallen back to second. And if you're Paul Witt, now you're thinking to yourself, I got to save myself some tires and also try to maintain this lead. Joey Hickox getting aggressive here up to 4th. His teammate Jay Stinson just behind him in the outside line. But how about the comeback from Robert Dubendak right now? He was not having a good night, but here he is. The driver out of Canton, Ohio. He's got Sam Boutwell giving him a little bump draft, if you will, on the front stretch. And he's looking to pick off the 2 Hickox Racing drivers. He's going to get 1 down into turn 1. Can he get 2? That would put him up to the 4th position, and Robert Dubendak would certainly like a good finish. He's another one of those playoff drivers looking to advance to the round of 8. We talked about the momentum that you can carry if you can get a win tonight, with it being all 1.5 miles the rest of the way from here. I think the track that's most similar to Atlanta, it's kind of hard to say because Texas, there's going to be a lot of tire saving, but it's not as fast where you go to a track such as Chicagoland or even Vegas. Those tracks are going to be extremely fast. Vegas is, you got to save some tire too, but you certainly have to make sure you stay in the draft, as well as it looks like Mr. Say GameCube says, good to see Tic Tac Dubendak up in the top 10. And you know what, I'll tell you what, I think I remember from my Super Speedway days that Bobby from Max Speed TV, who broadcasted him, that was the nickname he gave to Robert Dubendak. Of course, that has to be trademarked by now, and I certainly wouldn't use it. But that's probably the historical nickname that we have got for Robert Dubendak, the 99 machine. The 13 of Jay Stinson still battling. This is where what normally we would have saw night, guys get organized and lined up. Not the case anymore because they don't know if we're going to get another caution, and every position right now is going to be important. 20 laps to go, coming to 19 this time. Still 2x2 back there on the outside, looking like they're starting to prevail a little bit. The two Hickox Racing drivers get clear. The 96 of William George, not a playoff driver, but he is looking to try to spoil the party up here with these guys. Boy, John Lynch had a solid night. Still a pretty good night, sitting inside the top 10 and 9th, but after that incident where he kind of spun, actually didn't fully spin, I'd say half spun, if you will. Got a little bit into the wall and just not been able to recover. How about Russ Kilgore as well? Have not talked about him at all tonight. Normally we try to get all these guys at least once. Russ Kilgore has had another solid run as well in the top 10. Jeff Carl in the 98. How about Robert Jordan, the Max Speed TV driver out of Winsboro, Texas. Another guy that made the playoff berth in the round of 16. Randy Bonomi, Albert Hewins, William George. Actually, William George, it looks like, is indeed not on the lead lap. I thought the 96 was up there battling for position. He's not. Robert E. Morrison back here. He is currently not on the lead lap. Neither is John Bell, Joseph Fogg, Tristan Fortson, William McKellar, and Ray Zerka. They have all retired from the night. And Atlanta was a clean track early, but boy, it's came back to bite some of these drivers in the late going. Paul Witt has opened the gap up to about 0.3 of a second. Stick around on board and look at the dashboard here for Paul Witt and see how he's driving it. I'll tell you what, you could hear it sliding just a little bit, but it didn't sound like he was burning too much tire. Doesn't matter, though, because Matthew Dyer is looking to be on the back door here soon. He's got it down to about 3 truck lengths. Upper 170s down the straightaways here at Atlanta. Very fast track. Not that much grip in the corners. That's why it wears these tires out so bad. Makes some of these guys super loose. We're coming to 15 to go, and I think Matthew Dyer is just trying to play it patient right now. He knows that's still plenty of time. And what I wanted to say when we were in that cockpit view is I still personally, I really like the line that Paul Witt has ran tonight. I have not seen too many other guys run it quite the same way. A lot of guys have been close. A lot of guys have been hooking the bottom, but I just really haven't seen anybody be able to hook the bottom the way that Paul Witt has and really paint that white line through the center of the corner. I think it's worked out pretty well for him so far. We'll see if it continues to do so. Taking a look at the spectator cam, and as we look at different cams, how about a little NOMA Truck Series round of 16, crank it up. Here we go. That's going to, excuse me, and that is going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. 11 laps to go here at Atlanta. Paul Witt is still leading the way. He has got the lead over second place Matthew Dyer. And when we first went to the Crank It Up segment, it looked like Matthew Dyer was getting ready to go for a challenge, took the outside line, was looking for more. But quickly, Paul Witt put an end to that, took the lead back. Well, actually, Matthew Dyer never took the lead, but boy, he got close. Paul Witt slammed the door and said, started to pull a gap that is now up to half a second while Matthew Dyer's trying the top side. We're coming to 10 to go, and I just don't know if he's got enough time. Justin Parham has fallen to third. Gotta wonder, is he saving anything in the tank? Joey Hickox in fourth, Jay Stinson fifth. This is the last time we're running through the field. Sixth, Robert Duvendak seventh, Russ Kilgore, Vicente Guerrero eighth, Sam Boutwell ninth, John Litch 10th, and Jeff Carl 11th. Robert Jordan 12th, Randy Bonomi 13th, Albert Hewins 14th, William Georgian 15th, Matthew Fritzen 16th, Kenneth Rittinger 17th, DJ Maddish 18th, and Robert E. Morrison may have just had an issue here. Let's take a look. Currently sits in 19th. And issues right now is not what your current leader Paul Witt wants to see. Who gets on the apron. I'm not sure if he was trying to pit or what, but got really, really loose. Is going to get in the grass. And tell you what, that is a heck of a save from the 43 truck, especially with the amount of damage he's got on that thing. Holds on to 19th place. John Bell back out on track in 20th. And Joseph Fogg, Treston Fortson, William McKellar, Ray Zercut all go from 21st on back to 24th, and they are all off track. Well, almost everybody in the top 10 minus 3 drivers is in the round of 16. Not going to be the case once we're back for Texas. We're only going to have 8 of them, but right now Paul Witt with the gap now at almost 7/10 of a second over Matthew Dyer. He's got to hold them all off for 8 more laps, but right now I think the thing he wants to see most is going to be the white flag, and I'm starting to wonder, did Matthew Dyer maybe use up his stuff a little too early? Had a fast truck all night, but it seemed like the tire-saving strategy had been working best for him when he was doing it that way. Saw him get to the top really soon, and you got to wonder, did he just use up a little too much stuff? You see Justin Parham, he is still working the bottom, getting the draft on the straightaways. The good thing is for the 19 here is he's still getting pretty clean air right now. You never know, they're still within reaching range to catch Paul Witt. Maybe they're saving some tire for all I know. I do not know. It's just hard to say. But Matthew Dyer just right now, the speed isn't there. And we saw him close on Kenneth Rittinger half a second in just 2 laps. So you never know. But now going to be coming to 6 to go. Only 5 more laps before this thing will be official no matter what happens. And at this point, kind of wonder too, is Paul Witt just burning the tires off of that thing, trying to get as much of a lead as possible. He's hoping to see those 2 behind get side by side, but not the case. I think maybe they kind of have a non-stated, I guess if you want to call it coordination here, to just stick behind each other as long as they're both around the same speed. But just as I say that, it looked like Justin Parham was dipping to the low side, and Matthew Dyer is actually going to jump low now. Gets out of the throttle a little bit there. Is he going to let Parham go? He is, and that, tell you what, that's a classy move from a driver right there. We'll see if Parham's got the speed, but see what Dyer did there is you saw him drop low, and I think he said, you know what, man, I'm trying. I just don't think I've got the speed in the truck. I'll let you go. Worst case scenario, if I'm faster than you, we'll get in a little racing towards the end, but he's going to give Justin Parham a chance, and that's all Justin Parham is going to ask for right now, a chance to see if he can somehow go track down this 429 truck. Paul Witt, wonder if he's trying to break the draft a little bit there. Kind of went almost down to the middle on the backstretch, coming to 4 laps to go. The gap is 0.8 of a second from the lead. Justin Parham second, Matthew Dyer third, Joey Hickox fourth, and Jay Stinson fifth. Both of these guys felt like they had a good long run, or they were better on the long runs rather. You can see that showing true right now. All right, he closed it up about 0.1 of a second, and this is where you start to watch every move. And if you're Paul Witt, I think you got to just look forward, because if you start looking in your mirror, he's going to be there, man. Paul Witt, he's getting really, really tight. That's what Justin Parham wants to see. If he gets there, though, does Paul Witt think about taking the line? The gap now down to 0.5 a second. Oh, the 19, I think he broke the cushion. Got up really high, and he did. Oh, man, Justin Parham was going for it, and unfortunately went a little too far for it. Got maybe into the outside. I don't know if he quite got into the outside wall, but he really had to let up, and now with 3 to go at a second gap, this one is going to be all Paul Witt's race to lose. No mistakes the rest of the way. He's got this thing wrapped up. He's got the clean air. Everybody's single file, bearing no cautions as well, of course. As a driver, if you could sweep around in the playoffs, which I don't think we've ever seen that done in real life, that would certainly be an impressive feat. Paul Witt talked about he's got the autism awareness scheme on the truck tonight. And, you know, not only would the back-to-back wins make this special, but getting that paint scheme for the Autism Speaks 225 race in Victory Lane would also be more special. And the gap behind just continues to stretch. Paul Witt, He's going to have to do it one more time, looking for just no mistakes out of this 429. And who he doesn't have a spotter, but if he did, he'd be telling him right now, man, you have got plenty of a lead. Do not make a mistake. Do not get loose. Don't clip the apron. And whatever you do, do not get a little tight and hit that outside wall. White flag is in the air. One more lap to go for Paul Witt. Gets down into turn one. Not really a battle for second. Justin Parham looking like he's going to pull out. Down to a second, but it's not going to matter. You can't make that up in just half a lap. Paul Witt's got one more set of corners to do it. He won at Auto Club in thrilling fashion. Kenneth Riedinger did not. Went to the back, kind of the same way this race is going to end. Kenneth Riedinger ends a lap down. But on the opposite side, Paul Witt goes back-to-back. He is going to win the Autism Speaks 225 at Atlanta. Heck of a finish for the Max Speed TV driver and a heck of a hot streak right now. Justin Parham brings it home second for Grandstand Racing. Matthew Dyer third for Grandstand Racing. And the two Hickox Racing drivers finish off the top 5. It's going to be a happy man, and you are going to see a heck of a burnout right here from Paul Witt. Well, I'll tell you what, if it may not be a win and you're in, but I can put all the money that I've ever made in my lifetime up on the fact that the 429 is going to the round of 8 because he won both races in the round of 16 and got a couple of stage wins to go with it as well. Matthew Dyer, of course, tonight did win stage 1, and then it was Paul Witt who got stage 2. And we are back live here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, wrapping up the Autism Speaks 225. Of course, we saw your winner, Paul Witt, but before we get to him, let's get to your two other podium finishers, starting with Matthew Dyer, who brings it home third. Matthew, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
We looked extremely fast there earlier. We talked to you after stage 1. Looked fast at the end, but just not quite enough. What more did you need?
I definitely needed it to stay green after the those green flag pit stops in stage 3. That kind of caution kind of messed things up. I was ahead of Paul Witt when that caution came out. So this sucks. Just having a potential strategy just go wrong.
Well, it happens the best. The good news is you had a good finish last week and this week. You got to be feeling pretty good about going into the round of 8. We know that, of course, it's not official yet, but we got to assume that you're going to be into it, and it's going to be a lot of mile-and-a-half tracks. Do you feel pretty good for whatever's coming up? Texas, sure enough, Texas, and then Las Vegas after.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm pretty good at both of those, and I feel pretty confident at Chicagoland. So it should be pretty good for not only for me, but also for Grandstand Racing as well.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for talking to us. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
First off, thank Jay and Joey for putting this on every week. To you for broadcasting this every week too, and shout out to Thin Line Racing, Nightfall Graphics, also to Grandstand Racing as well.
All right, sounds good. Matthew Dyer brings it home third, the 2 truck. And I do apologize to everyone if I sounded a little rude there. I don't know why, but for some reason, after telling everyone earlier where we were headed next, I forgot for a split second. And looking for a little help. Anyway, let's move on to second place finisher, and that is Justin Parham, the 19. Justin, you got a copy?
Yeah.
All right. Well, overall, pretty good night for most of Grandstand Racing. Not so much for Kenneth Rinier, but you're bringing home second. And I kind of want to ask you the same question as Matthew Dyer, because it looked like the case for both of you guys. What more did you need there at the end to get to the leader?
Clean air. It's just running behind someone. When you get close to them, it wouldn't turn. You'd just get tied off the corner to kill the speed for the whole straightaway. So it needed clean air there at the end for the way it unfolded, but what we really needed was for it to have went green instead of getting the last caution we ended up with.
Well, after we got that last caution, were you hoping that maybe we'd get another one? And if so, did you have any set of tires left?
I had a set of tires left. Yeah, so I was hoping we'd get one there at the end just to give that extra chance, but on the old tires and dirty air, it was just pushing hard off, in the corners, and it just killed the straightaway speed.
Well, overall, a good second place finish tonight. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just teammates for all the practice that we do, and the league for everything they do.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for talking to us, and congratulations on the second place finish.
Yep.
Now we're going to bring in your winner, and that is Mr. Paul Witt. Paul, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
All right, well, you get the win, and we talked to you earlier after stage 2 when you were looking fast. You said that paint scheme would sure look good in victory lane, and we're going to get to see it. You go back-to-back in round 16. How's it feel?
Feels awesome, dude. I mean, it was this was a team win here. We jumped on and did a practice, 2-hour practice before we practiced here, and I tell you what, we learned a lot in that practice. And it was a team effort, man. They really helped me out through that practice and everything. So I got to thank William and Vicente and Robert for coming in and helping me out during that practice time.
Well, they do say practice makes perfect. You got to assume that with these 2 wins going into the round of 8, you're going to have a lot of momentum. Is there a certain track looking ahead to the next 2, I guess I should say, before the championship, Texas and Vegas, that you think you can maybe make it 3 in a row in the playoffs for?
I think so. As long as I can keep it clean at Texas, I'm relatively decent at Texas. So all 3 of these tracks coming up, I've won at all 3 of them before. So there's no doubt in my mind that I can pull it off.
All right. Well, you have been exciting and electric to watch. We'll see if you can do it again, not next week, but the week after. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Manny Rays for coming on and sponsoring the league here, and Jay and Joey, and the good Lord above, and got to thank my wife for letting me come down here and do this. She's very supportive, and I've got a lot of friends and family watching too that supports me. Really encourages me to go out and race harder and harder, and got to thank all of them.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win tonight, and we will see you at Texas.
All right. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is Paul Witt. All right, let's go over your finishing order for tonight. Bringing home the win, we just talked to him. That was Paul Witt. Second, Justin Parham. Matthew Dyer, third. Joey Hickox, fourth. Jay Stinson, fifth. Robert Duvendak, sixth. Russ Kilgore, seventh. John Lynch, eighth. Vicente Guerrero, ninth. And Sam Boutwell rounds out the top 10. Jeff Carl finishes 11th. Robert Jordan, 12th. Randy Bonomi, 13th. Albert Hewins, 14th. Matthew Fritz, 15th. William George, 16th. Kenneth Ridinger, 17th. 18th is going to be DJ Madish. Robert E. Morrison, 19th. John Bell, 20th. 21st, Joseph Fogg. 22nd, Treston Fortson. 23rd, William McKellar. And 24th is going to be Ray Zerkut. Well, it was a good race overall tonight. Pretty clean for the most part. A couple cautions here and there, but that is what you're going to get in these long races. We eliminate 8 drivers tonight. We will have more official results, and we will see who the round of 8 is when we go, not next week. Next week's an off week, but into Texas the week after. I hope everybody did enjoy. I can't thank you all enough for tuning in each and every week.